Hi, thank you for choosing Muddy Boots Outdoors, and today we're going to learn how to make jungle vines from rope and silicone. So here we've got some regular white tub and tile silicone. This is the one that has the mold inhibitors in it. Make sure that you always wear gloves. This will be a very messy job. So some of your preparation is you will need something to lay your vine out on for it to dry. You're going to need what your vine will actually be. Now this could be steel cable. In this case I'm using rope, very cheap. About 8 foot of rope was about $5, and I got 3 to 4 different sizes. So here's the rope all spread out, various sizes. In the blue bucket, I have what I was going to be my substrate. That is a jungle cocoa fiber mix. So to get the silicone on the smaller pieces, I went ahead and got just a trash box, and as you can see, squirted out a bunch of silicone. That silicone will then be rubbed into the rope as such, just to make sure I get a good even coating. One thing I would recommend is to wear an old pair of pants, because if you get silicone on your nice new pair of pants and you don't realize it, they are effectively ruined. Ask me how I know. So go ahead and coat the rope with some silicone. Make sure you get a good coating on there, and then take that silicone and rope and slide it up and through your fingers, so that way the silicone gets mashed into the actual fibers of the rope really well. It will give a better bonding. So once you get it good and coated, we're going to go ahead and dip it in your substrate. With this, I'm just using a jungle soil mix, which is a cocoa fiber. It probably has like little soil in there, but it just kind of gives some really good texture, makes it look like wood. And with the fibers of the rope, it kind of looks like wood that's almost splintered a little bit. Once it dries, it'll kind of stick out and everything. So once you get it good and pressed in, and make sure that you squeeze it while it's in there to press the fibers into the silicone so you have good adhesion. Just kind of lay it out so it can dry. I tried to reuse my gloves as best I could, so I kind of unroll whatever was stuck on there, and here's me doing another piece on the small. But all in all, it's a very simple process. You can effectively do large amounts of rope in 30 minutes or less. I coiled mine up. Now it will not matter how you let it dry. If you want to coil it, lay it straight. Whenever you go to attach it in your terrarium, you can run it straight, you can run it coiled, you can wrap it around things. It is very flexible, and it will hold whatever shape you give it. So on thicker pieces of rope, the box so much will not work. That was just kind of mainly for very thin pieces, and so in this one we're actually going to put the silicone on the rope. Make sure that you try to swap out your gloves. A clean pair of gloves is a must, so that way you're not transferring any of the old cocoa fiber, maybe some of the silicone that's already potentially dried or cured, and it kind of give it a better appearance. So just go ahead and put a nice thick bead on there, and just one continuous strand from end to end. And then begin to kind of work it into the actual rope. As we can see, I'm stroking it in there. I'm going to get a little bit of the excess off of that box, so I can get it really into the fibers. And in this case, being wasteful is okay with your silicone. It's no big. Silicone's cheap. Now if you were to do this with a brown or even a black silicone, your results probably would come out just a little bit better. The white does kind of show through sometimes if you don't get a really good coating or get it pressed in. However, I will say this, the little streak of white you might have will actually resemble a lichen or a type of mold that you would kind of see out in the forest. So it kind of almost, it gives an appearance of something that looks tacky in the sense, but yet when you look at it, when everything is finished, it gives it a very realistic appearance. It will add just a little bit of extra texture to something that is kind of very hard to replicate. And to be honest, you really don't want a lot of molds or heavy lichens growing in your terrarium, because some of those things can be poisonous. So once you have everything coated and it's worked in the fibers really well, just kind of coil it into the bucket. I mean, you can use a tub. I had a bucket on hand. Coil it in there, and as you coil it little by little, just kind of grab your fibers and squeeze it into the rope as you work it around. And I went just slowly from one end all the way down to the other, and then I just kind of worked my way backwards to make sure I got a good even coating, and then just shake it off, shake off the excess. Now if you pull it out and you do see that, oh, there's a spot I missed, you've had plenty of time. Just go ahead, dip it back in there and give it a couple extra squeezes to kind of really push things in. As you can see, you know, there's a couple spots I missed there in the middle, so I just kind of picked up a handful and pressed it in to kind of get that extra coverage. And then just simply tap it out and let it cure. I will say this, that whenever you are done with this, there will be, depending on how careful you are, there will probably be a large mess. So just kind of do it in an area that can get messy. And I would say within about 5 to anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, you can easily pick these up, move them around without any worry of damaging them. So I have various sizes there, as we can see. I forget what actual sizes of the rope, but as we can see, if you were to go to any of your big box stores for home improvement, just go to their chain, cable, and rope section, and they will have various sizes of rope there. And this is just regular rope, nothing fancy. I don't recommend using the nylon rope, as it probably won't be as flexible. And if you do want to make your vine look like it's separating into mini vines, go ahead and unroll or unbraid the rope, and from that you will just continue to put on your silicone and press the silicone and cocoa fiber together. Now you might have to do this depending on how many frays you do and how intricate you want it. You might have to do this a couple times. I think on the one that I am working on right now that had various little ones where I separated each individual strand, I wanted to where it actually looked like many roots came out and then grew together into one thick vine and then separated out into smaller vines of each other. That I actually had to do a couple times because with all the little individual roots, so to speak, and fibers, it was hard to get a very good even coating. And I did like the finished product of it. However, I probably wouldn't do it again. I would, though, however, would use the white silicone again. I did like the ending result with that, and any white streaking that might have been in there can also easily be hidden with any type of small fake plant, or even a real plant, if so, you know, if you want to glue air plants on there. If you want to use fake plants in your stuff to kind of give a mix of each, you know, varying colors, but you can just kind of use the sprigs of leaves and kind of make it look like the vine itself is actually growing. And it kind of gives some added extra backup textures. So always make sure, you know, you put new gloves on, and if your hands are nice, hot, and sweaty, try to air dry them as best you can to get the gloves to actually go back on them, because trying to slide nitrile gloves on wet hands is about like trying to drive four-wheel drive on ice. It just doesn't happen. So if you do spill any silicone, just go ahead and use your rope as a rag. It's going to go on there anyways. So it's also the same concept. Just continue to put your silicone on there and then just, you know, work down each strand. Nothing needs to be, you know, absolutely perfect on this. Really the main concept is to get a large amount of silicone into the strand that you can easily work it and get a good coverage. Some really good places to do this are, you know, right in front of the laundries, so that way if your significant other can't get anything done throughout the day. Right in front of the garage door, so no one can leave. Or in a path that's heavily trafficked, you know, so you can be as probably as obnoxious as humanly possible. I'm kidding, by the way. Don't do that. You'll drive your significant other nuts. Now on the thicker ropes, I don't think I used as much silicone as we can see. Well, can't see, but in the shadow you can see that I'm adding more. The thicker ropes will require more silicone to get better coverage. That would probably be one thing that I would do a little bit different, as I probably would have used a lot more. I was trying to be cost effective and conscientious about prices on stuff, and I mean, mind you, silicone's not expensive, but when you start buying, 10 or 15 tubes of silicone there, it does start to add up. I'm not saying that I bought 10 or 15, I'm just saying in general, depending on how big your project is, you might have to do that. One nice thing about doing this in the laundry room, so to speak, is that when everything is completed and you get your mess done, you can just strip down right there because you're right in front of the laundry room. I will say that you guys, unfortunately, aren't going to get to see me strip down. Sorry. Now, one thing I did do there is I did try to separate those individual strands because I didn't want them laying on top of each other and the silicone potentially curing into itself. Now, this is the one that I really struggled on. The end there with the mini frayings, I think I over-frayed it. I had to actually do that one a couple different times to try to get everything coated evenly. Now, even though I do like the end result of it, it did kind of create... I could have done it better, and it did create unnecessary work. And that's another thing, is it looks like that I ran out of silicone right in the middle of me doing this, so... Could have also been why I needed to do this particular piece a couple different times. I might have tried to skimp as best I could with silicone, but it just wasn't going to happen. Just make sure that you do work that in there, and like I said, on the bigger pieces, more is better. With your silicone, you will get better coverage, it will be a little bit easier to work with, and you will have less of the so-called rope showing through, and have more of a viney appearance. As you can see from the shadow, that end piece with the mini frayings was actually, it was very hard to get everything evenly coated the first time around. And I do believe at this point I was very hungry, so I was actually trying to rush everything that I was doing. And so this piece could have turned out better had I put a little bit more effort into it the first time. However, I mean, second time, third time around, I got it. So one thing that you do want to do is, before over-fraying it, make sure that you do put enough silicone on there that you can actually hide where the rope is twisted together, and it will look like one single piece instead of the twistings of the rope. Well, thank you for watching this video. Once again, this is how to make a jungle vine for a terrarium. Please stay tuned towards the end, and you can see the finished product of the vines. Once again, a couple of these I did have to go back over. However, if you did like the video and everything, go ahead and send a like and subscribe. It's in the bottom corner there. Please check out some of the other videos too on the Muddy Boots Outdoors channel. And thank you for watching.